SB 345. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber yesterday, Wednesday, 28 February 2024. In view of the fact that Mr. President presiding is the sponsor of the bill, I seek to take the lead debate on behalf of the sponsor of this bill. Mr. President, if I may so proceed.
Thank you, Leader. You can go ahead. Oh.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Assembly Budget and Research Office, NABRO. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, the 28th day of February 2024. The National Assembly Budget and Research Office is an initiative of the Nigerian Legislature to support its work in its engagement with executive institutions on national budget. The objects of the office, among others, include to provide the National Assembly with objective, timely, and non-partisan analysis, information, and estimates needed for economic and budget decisions, to provide independent, unbiased, and non-partisan analysis of the executive arm of government's annual budget estimates, to provide independent and continuous review and monitoring of existing and proposed programs and budgets of the federal government, to provide analysis of the economic implication of the federal budget on the private sector and the budgetary and financial implication of any proposed legislation when so required by any committee of the National Assembly. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, as it stands, there is no organic law that gives powers to any office to independently provide assistance to the National Assembly in relation to budgetary and financial matters. The National Assembly currently operates in a manner in which legislation is made and decisions are taken without relevant consideration of their financial and economic impacts. The only semblance of recognition of scrutiny and or analysis of budget of the National Assembly or of the Federation is the Appropriation Committee of the National Assembly, consisting of members of the National Assembly, thereby depriving it of the quality of technical subject. The lack of an independent budgetary office, specifically established to offer professional input to legislative budget process, therefore, leading to a lack of expertise and loss of the benefits that will be gained from the proper review and analysis of budgetary proposals. The proposed National Assembly Budget Office will report annually to the Senate and House of Representatives all items funded in the preceding financial year for which no appropriation was made by the National Assembly, and all items contained in the Appropriation Act in the preceding financial year, but which were not funded by the federal government. In line with our Order 76 of 3 of the Standing Rules of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2023, the compendium of financial implications is hereby attached. It is in view of this and many more valid points that cannot be exhausted in this short debate that I urge you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to please support this bill and recommend its accelerated passage. I thank you.
Thank you, Senate Leader. The Deputy Chair.
Dr. Mohammed Ali Ndume, representing Borno South. Mr. President, in seconding this motion ably raised and laid by the leader, I want to specifically inform my colleagues the new colleagues that this bill has been long overdue. We tried severally, and I think for technical reasons or so. And in fact, we even had a committee on this. I think it was in 2007 that we initiated having a National Assembly Budget and Research Office. As I said, this is overdue. And I would advise or suggest that we don't take a long time on it, since we are committing it to the committee, the appropriate committee, so that they will do a thorough job on it and get back. But I want to emphasize that for the efficiency of our job, we need this. I urge all our colleagues to support the second reading of this bill so that it will be committed to the appropriate committee and the appropriate legislative work is done to make sure we pass it. And I'm very sure the executive, the president in person, would want to have this, and that would hasten our budget process. Because whenever the budget comes and we are looking at it from background of knowledge, it will ease our job and make it faster. So I hereby second the second reading of the bill and also urge my colleagues to do so.
Thank you, Senator Solomon Adiola.
Very distinguished colleague, Adiola Solomon Olamilekon, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, let me start by commending you for this bold initiative of sponsoring this all-important bill for the National Assembly Budget and Research Office. Mr. President, I can vividly recollect during the 8th and the 9th Senate, one of our priorities as contained in the legislative agenda is to see to the establishment of this office. But for those 2 consecutive terms, we are unable to achieve this main objective of establishing this NABRO office. But this time around, the 10th Senate has taken the bull by the horn by leading the pack to ensure that for the first time, in accordance with global best practices, we have an independent budget office that will run concurrently with the budget office of the executive. Mr. President, this bill is not targeted at confronting or challenging the executive on their budget proposal or budget estimate, but it serves as an independent office that will give us a first-hand information about the budgetary document as that will be presented to us by the executive. It gives us the opportunity of monitoring the implementation of the annual budget estimate that will be submitted to the legislature. It also will assist us to monitor the economics of the document before us, that is the budgetary document that will be laid before the legislature. I give you an instance, Mr. President. As it currently were, we have a budget that was passed into law at 800 naira to $1. But as we speak, with the current rate of dollar at 1,450, that shows whatever we have done as budget, there is need for us to revisit as a result of the current realities. But an independent office like the NABRO office will have gone into consultation with the executive and see what is the next line of action. We'll have equally advised the appropriation committee of the National Assembly of the next line of action. As it were, we are monitoring the turn of events, expecting the executive to come up with their proposal of what the next line of action will be in the line of current realities. But with a NABRO office that is efficient, that has been well established, it will guide our line of discussion as to how best we can address the present economic realities confronting us as a nation. So this is one step in the right direction, and as the Deputy Chair Appropriation have said, I know with all these benefits that is attached to this office, my very distinguished colleague will support this office to be established for the overall benefit of all lawmakers. Every year they bring budget before us, but some of our colleagues will say, well, this has to do with financial and everything. But the NABRO office, we dissect, we break down line by line what is contained in that document and advise us accordingly. So this document is for the overall benefit of every senators and honorable members of the National Assembly. And I urge all my colleagues to go ahead. Let's give this bill an expeditious passage so that we can activate this office as soon as possible for the overall benefit of all members of the National Assembly. Once more, Mr. Deputy Senate President, I want to thank you very much for this bold initiative that you have taken. I so submit, Mr. President. Thank you.
Ahmed Lawan, I represent Yobe North. Mr. President, as one of the 1999 House of Reps members, you recall that the then House, the first session of the House of Representatives 1999-2003 had this bill. And if I recall that Habib Fasharo, honored member from Lagos State then, was chairman of the committee, a special committee of NABRO. This bill has been around in the Senate now for over 20 years. Distinguished colleagues, it is an evolutionary trip of the National Assembly, the legislature here at this level, that we are witnessing. And this year, this session, the 10th Senate should take every possible opportunity to get this bill passed and, of course, get Mr. President to assent to it. Like the previous speakers have said, this is one law when it comes back to us as a law signed by Mr. President that will enable the National Assembly, the legislature at the highest level in this country, to really answer the name a National Assembly that is empowered. Because there's more power in terms of approvals for expenditures in the National Assembly than probably any other power. The power or the purse. And if we have that power, we must use it properly and appropriately. How do we do that? We must base our decisions to approve financial requests or on issues of economy from position of knowledge, understanding, and enlightenment. And NABRO is that outfit, that institution that will give us that cutting-edge power that we need. So I will appeal to all of us that we support the second reading of this bill. In fact, the House never had any problem with this bill. Because right now, it appears like the House is the one that is championing the push for this institution. But it's supposed to be a National Assembly thing. And I believe that this 10th Senate will pass this bill, will get this bill assented to by Mr. President, having been in the National Assembly himself once, so that the National Assembly now can have the NABRO office fully kitted, fully tooled, fully supported by the National Assembly itself, with experts, with skillful people who will, on the press of the button, will tell us this is what we are supposed to do when it comes to budgeting. This is what we are supposed to stand for and support when it comes to economy, because these will be professionals who will always be there to guide us. So with these remarks, Mr. President, thank you very much for the privilege.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. And my dear colleagues, Henry Siraki Dixon, Bayelsa West. Mr. President, I rise to lend support that this bill be read a second time. And in doing so, I align with all the reasons, sentiments, and arguments already advanced by my learned, by my colleagues. This bill is to strengthen the capacity of the National Assembly to undertake its very serious and sometimes overarching responsibilities and powers under the Constitution. Yes, we have 3 arms of government solidified in our Constitution, but if you look carefully, the power of appropriation, the power to direct economic policy and back it up with approvals, and therefore the power to push development is vested in the National Assembly. And that is called the power of the purse most times. And in doing so, like has been already said, the National Assembly, in exercising that onerous power, needs to do so from a position of strength, a position of knowledge. I commend you for again bringing up this matter. Those of us who, I was part of the 6th and 7th National Assembly, and I know that we were all involved in some aspects of this bill, but it's unfortunate that it has taken this bill this long period to get to where we are. I want to thank you for again drawing our attention to the necessity for strengthening the legislature to do its job. And I urge that we all give support to it. In doing so, I know most of the fine-tuning work will be done at the public hearing before we proceed. But let me say that this bill has to be independent, to make this body independent. As independent, to be in a position to take decisions that may not even go down well with any other person. So either we change the name to include its independence, or in reworking the bill, we reflect that independence of the work they will do in the body of the bill. And I know that those committees that will do the fine-tuning know what to do. This body, when established, should also make provision for top economists and experts in budget to also function in one way or the other, whether we are going to set up a board or whatever. If it is there, we should strengthen it. If it is not there, we should add to it. So that this body, once operational, will be in a position to assess, even before we receive estimates from a president. It should give us an analysis of what has gone before in the previous years, an analysis of performance also, and for me, an analysis of even the fair spread of federal projects. Because we must institutionalize a mechanism for ensuring equity, not just in words, but in practice. Because we, the representatives of the people, need to know, year in, year out, what is coming to Bayelsa. We need to know. And the work that this board will do should not only be accessible to us. I believe if we study what is happening in other, like the Congressional Budget Office and so on, which I'm sure the committees will benchmark this body with, the members of the public, even Nigerians, students, professors need to also have access to the work that they will do, so that everybody will be in an informed position to assess the budget and the capacity.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. I'm reluctant to tell you your time is up as a ranking senator, but please, you have 1 second remaining. But I understand that ranking senators here want to contribute, they're showing enthusiasm because they know, you speak. Everybody will speak. I just want to say that we restrain the timing. You are going to speak. What I'm trying to say is this: it's a very straightforward bill, but probably because in line with, because of the enthusiasm, and they remember the bill with nostalgia, so they want to speak about it. So let's restrict ourselves to one minute, so that everybody can speak. Everyone can speak here. I'm not saying only them. No, everybody will speak, right?
Thank you, my president, distinguished colleagues. My name is Dr. Tony Ngoye. My own will be very brief. The most important aspect of this bill, that this bill will be highly unbiased, highly non-partisan, and highly independent. Most importantly also, this bill will seek for us to bring experts, technical experts, who will be saddled with responsibility of reviewing the proposal of federal government, monitoring implementation of the budget passed, and also this bill will seek to end the area of duplication of projects in our budget. I hereby support this bill wholeheartedly, and God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Tony Ngoye.
Mr. President, I don't have much to add because of the time constraint, but Mr. President, I think this bill is very, very important. And I commend you of bringing this kind of legislation which will add value on what we are doing. I have my observation based on the aggregate opinion of the previous speakers is that the main advantage we will derive from this bill or legislation is objective analysis. It will help us in analyzing the budget objectively. Key data information, we will have information on what happened or what is going to happen in the past and previous budget, and the expertise and specialization. Having this office, it will employ an expert opinion on how to implement the budget, efficiency and timely analysis, long-term planning. It will help us in policy sustainability, and at the end, we will, if we have this kind of legislation, we will have equal distribution of our resources or allocation to our various constituencies and senatorial district, and we will run from selective implementation from the executive. And level of implementation, it is easy for us to understand the level of implementation of the budget. Then finally, it will help us in our oversight function, which is the main constitutional responsibility of legislators in Nigeria. I think it is overdue.
Thank you. The time is off. We are taking.
I have few difficulties contributing because I can see the sponsor of the bill, but I hope that I will not be misunderstood. I think at this point, the Nigerian people are unanimous, whether we agree with them or we don't, that the budget of the National Assembly is too heavy. You might agree with it, you don't agree with it, but politics is about perception. Just this week, Mr. President, the President of Nigeria, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, decided to scale down this on the basis of, collapse some agencies in order to reduce the cost of governance. Why the executive is doing that?
regardless of what anybody will say, for us to rise from these chambers to say that we have created another new institution, I think on the face of it, we will be seen as expanding where the executive is reducing. Number two, I believe in research. There is no question. But in reality, in this environment, I do not see that independent.
Point of order, Senator Mohammed Tahir Mongono. Order 54, you may read.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohammed Tahir Mongono. I represent Marte Mongono. Sorry, I forgot to mention my former federal constituency. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. My point of order is based on Order 52-4. Subject to your permission, I will read the order.
Go ahead, go ahead.
The order said a senator must confine his observation to the subjects under discussion and may not introduce matter irrelevant thereto. Mr. President, I submit with all due respect to my former national chairman, distinguished Senator Adam Oshumole, that the issue he wants to introduce is completely irrelevant and extraneous to this debate. He is talking about the budget of the National Assembly, while we are talking about getting experts, establish a body of experts, an agency to scrutinize the national budget and then guide the National Assembly as a whole, and then streamline the process. We are not talking about the budget of the National Assembly specifically, so it should be ruled out.
Senator Tahir Mohammed Mongono.
I hold the view, Mr. President, that our National Assembly Senate Appropriation Committee can decide, depending on the nature of the issues, to hire any expert which, in his opinion, will be able to help in reviewing the budget of the National Assembly, of the executive with regard to annual budgeting. Because in truth, sir,
Sir, you have 1 second remaining. We have 1 minute allotted to each senator. Sir.
Oh.
You know, you are my former chairman. I don't want to be seen to be partial. If I allow you more time, I will begin to, have 1 second remaining. I'm sorry, sir. Senator Tahir Mohammed Mongono.
Thank you, Mongono. I represent Marte Mongono, Borno North Senatorial District. I don't know. Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I think this is one of the bills that has suffered a very protracted and checkered history of adjournments throughout my stay in the National Assembly. I can recall vividly that this bill has been rearing its head in our order paper since the 6th National Assembly, and it has not seen the light of the day. It is akin, similar to the petroleum industry bill, that the National Assembly in the 9th Senate took the bull by the horn and then passed it finally. I think this bill also, having regard to the protracted and checkered history that it has suffered in the National Assembly, the 10th National Assembly will take the bull by the horn and pass this bill for assent, possible assent by Mr. President, especially against the backdrop of the fact that it is in tandem with international best practice, as rightly mentioned by Senator Sarake Dixon, that is the Congressional Budget Office in the U.S. Congress, which we borrowed from. So in view of that, I adopt all.
Thank you. Senator Abiru.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. I also rise to give my support to this high impactful bill. My support, just like my other colleagues have said, will derive from the fact that, you know, for an institution like this is how you enrich the capacity of institutions. I must confess, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, you know, the budget cycles that I see often in these chambers is almost a struggle, even with my understanding of basic economics and all of that. Now, I believe strongly an institution of this nature will help almost all of us here with the powers of appropriation that we have in understanding the basics of budgeting and also monitoring, because you know, on an institution like this, we'll be better informed, better enriched, and we understand not only the budget process, even the process of monitoring the budget, which is very important. So I fully support this proposal, and I will enjoin my other colleagues to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take Senator Abbas, then to Senator Mustafa.
Over the years, we were informed that this office is established with legal backing. It's my surprise to hear that there's no legal backing to this office. And we are encouraging the state assemblies to open the same kind of office when I was there, all over the country. Just for me to come out here today that there's no legal backing for this office while we were asked to open each and every assembly in the state, I want to call on all of us to support this bill so that people will not even know, former colleagues will not know that we don't have this legal backing for this office in National Assembly. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
President, my name is Mustafa Habib, representing Jigawa Southwest. First, I also want to congratulate you for bringing up this bill, because this is an institution that will make our work not only easy, but more potent. Mr. President, since my visit to Congressional Budget Office, I became ecstatic about this bill, and I'm happy that today we are on the right track to achieve this goal. It will make the work of each and every one of us easier, because we don't have to go out on oversights. We have experts in the office, in this office, that will do the field work where we don't even have the expertise. We have engineers, accountants, economists. They are supposed to be manning this office, and they provide us with instant information on anything about the budget we are supervising. It will make us more efficient, more relevant, and more punching in our work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Mustafa. The fact that this bill has been around for quite a long time, so have the institutional memory of the bill. So we wanted them to say it out so that others will hear. Mind you, you are no longer a non-ranking. You are a ranking senator now. You are here for. So those that are coming, even though we don't want some others to come, we want you to continue. Anybody that comes in will now be a non-ranking. You are a ranking senator now. So what we mean by that has been withdrawn. What we are trying to say is that someone like Senator Habib, Senator. All of them, they have the memory. They knew what happened about the bill. You saw how the former Senate President gave an account of how the whole thing emanated. So the reason was that let them speak so that we can hear why the bill or how the bill has been, that the bill has been here for a quite long time. It was not done to say this is ranking or no. You are ranking already. So you can, you have every privilege attached to a ranking senator. It's someone that will come later that will not be, that will be a non-ranking. You are ranking already. You are police. You see, Senator now refuses to contribute because he knows about the bill very well. He knows about the bill because he was a former member of House of Representatives. Well, let me particularly thank everyone that contributed. Senator Lamilekon gave an account of the bill, and also the former Senate President fully gave an account, stated how the bill came about. I remember in the year 1999, there was a delegation from the National Assembly here, both Senate and the House, to the United States Congress, sponsored by NDI of US. were there. It was then we were shown the Congressional Budget Office of the United States. And that office is a kind of a reservoir of the entire statistics, economic statistics of United States. It gives all data you need about the entire economy of the United States, not even United States, but the world. They could be there. If you go to that office right now in the US, they'll press a button if they want to know anything. If you want to know anything about Nigeria, they'll tell you about the economy of Nigeria. They'll tell you about the economy of Namibia. And they always give the Congress of the United States any information, every information they need. Not only the Appropriation Committee or the Finance Committee, but all the committees. You could go there and get information. And as we speak, whatever information we get from the executive arm of government. So what they tell us is what we use as a source of information. But when we have this office, we also have our own information, our reservoir information that can be used to check whatever is given to us by anybody, by any MDA. And no ministry will come and tell you this is happening or that is happening. You check against your own data. So that will help the country, you know. And every member of the National Assembly can go in there and have whatever anybody wants in terms of data, in terms of statistics, in terms of information, or anybody. So it is a very important office, and we need to put that in place here in order to go with international best practice. In fact, it's one of the pillars of the legislature. A legislature without adequate information will not be able to perform its function properly. And the previous administration that refused to sign, they felt we are going to kind of compete with them. You know, there's this kind of sense of insecurity that we are going to know too much. And in democracy, you should know. The legislature should know. So, and I think we are really happy that the current president was also a product of the National Assembly. He knows about the National Assembly. He was in the United States. He knows the workings of the United States Congress. He knows about this aspect of international best practice. So we are hopeful he is going to sign whenever the bill is presented to him. He's a very, very innovative person, very forward-looking person. He knows about the legislature. So that was the reason I want to tell others that didn't know or don't know why the bill was not signed in the first place. This is the reason. They felt, just like the zone intervention we're enjoying now, they didn't want to go by it. In fact, there was argument from the beginning that the National Assembly did not have the powers to add or subtract from the budget. But then, our democracy was new. But now, everybody knows that the power of the purse belongs to the National Assembly, as said by Senator Dixon, which is correct. So, it's something that will help the workings of the National Assembly. And I thank all of you for your contribution, and we shall all work together to get this law passed, this bill passed. Thank you very much. The leader said, okay, now, yeah, institutional memory. Now I go to the question. So those in favor that this bill be read the second time, please say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the National Assembly Budget and Research Office, which provides the National Assembly with objective, timely, and non-partisan analysis needed for economic and budget decisions and for related matters, 2024 second reading. The bill is the bill is referred to the Committee on Appropriations to report back within 4 weeks. The leader.